The message reached Earth at midnight. A sharp alarm echoed across Space Command, waking officers from their stations. At first, everyone thought it was another false warning, maybe a stray asteroid or a lost cargo ship. But when the main screen came alive, every face turned pale. An unknown fleet was entering the solar system, and it was huge. Commander Hale stood at the center of the control room, staring at the numbers blinking on the screen. 40,000 life signatures. Ship hulls damaged. Engines failing. Communication channels open but weak. It made no sense. If this were an invasion, why send broken ships? If this were a threat, why send a message asking for help? The whole world waited for the next update. Slowly, the alien fleet drifted closer. Their ships were cracked like old stone, glowing with fading energy. Some vessels spun slightly, as if the pilots inside were too exhausted to fight their own controls. Satellite cameras zoomed in, and the sight shocked everyone. These aliens were not arriving with power. They were arriving with fear. They were running from something. Hale watched the feed again. Children. Elderly. Injured. Families huddled around dim lights inside their ships. This was not an army. These were survivors. But if they were survivors, then what destroyed their world? Earth's governments held emergency meetings. Some leaders shouted that it was a trap. Others argued that humanity could not turn away people who were dying. A few demanded the fleet be stopped at the border of the solar system. No one could agree. No one wanted to make the wrong choice. Meanwhile, people on Earth looked at the sky with silent worry. News screens ran non-stop reports. Alien fleet approaching Earth. 40,000 lives in danger. Is this the beginning of a war? Millions of citizens waited for answers, but even the experts had none. Inside Space Command, tension filled every breath. The alien flagship sent another signal, weaker this time. A single line of translated text appeared on Hale's panel: "We come with nothing. Only hope." The room fell silent. Hale did not know why, but those words felt heavy. As if the universe itself had whispered a final wish through dying voices. He ordered the message to be verified twice. It was real. Another officer called out, "Commander, we are detecting something behind them." Hale rushed to the main screen. A second fleet appeared at the edge of the system, faster, sharper, moving in perfect formation. These ships were not damaged. They were hunters. And they were tracking the refugee fleet exactly. The officer's hands shook slightly as she zoomed in on the new contacts. "Sir, they are gaining speed." This changed everything. If the first fleet arrived alone, Earth might have ignored them or sent them away. But now there were two forces. One weak. One strong. And the strong one was coming with purpose. Something chased those 40,000 souls, and it was not coming in peace. A nervous voice in the room whispered what everyone else feared: what if the refugees lead their enemy right to us? Hale had thought the same thing. If Earth welcomed them, humanity might be dragged into a war they did not understand. If Earth rejected them, the hunters might still attack, or the refugees would die helplessly at the edge of space. There was no safe answer. The world leaders reconnected on screen. Their faces were tense. Now they were not arguing about kindness or danger. They were arguing about time. The hunters would reach Earth's orbit in hours. A decision had to be made now. Some demanded Earth shields be activated immediately. Others said humans must not lose their humanity. But Hale noticed something none of them mentioned: the refugees had not fired a single weapon. Their ships had not even powered their shields. They were not pretending to be weak. They were barely holding together. As the alien fleet reached orbit around the moon, one of the ships suddenly lost power and began falling toward Earth. Hale reacted without thinking. He ordered a rescue team. Human pilots launched in seconds, catching the failing vessel before it could burn in the atmosphere. For the first time, human and alien eyes met through cracked glass windows. The aliens were thin, weak, and terrified, yet the moment they saw the humans, relief washed over their faces. They did not see enemies. They saw hope. But back on the scanner, the hunter fleet moved closer. Straight toward Earth. Hale stood before his team. "We must decide now," he said. "Do we help them, or do we shut our doors?" No one answered. The silence stretched so long that the only sound was the distant hum of machines. Then the alien flagship sent one final message, barely strong enough to break through the static. 3 simple words. "Please, save us." The room froze. Humanity stood on the edge of a choice that would shape the entire future of the galaxy. They could turn away, and 40,000 lives would vanish. They could accept them, and an unknown enemy would come crashing into Earth's defenses. Hale exhaled slowly. No one had ever expected this moment. No one knew what the right answer was. But the hunters were almost here. And humanity had only minutes left. For 10 long minutes, the world held its breath. Every channel went silent. Every leader struggled to find the courage to speak. But Commander Hale knew the truth: if humanity hesitated any longer, the choice would be taken away from them. The Hunter fleet was already entering Mars orbit, dark and fast like shadows cutting through space. In Space Command, the lights dimmed as the main screen displayed both fleets. The refugees, floating weakly near the moon. The hunters, racing toward them with deadly speed. Humanity stood between the two, unsure of what role it should play in this story. Hale walked to the central console. His voice was calm, but his heart beat like a drum. "We have a chance to show who we really are," he said. "Not to them, not to the galaxy, but to ourselves." The room stayed quiet. Everyone listened. Everyone knew the risks. If they helped the refugees, Earth might become the next target. But if they refused, they would watch thousands die. An operator turned to Hale. "Sir, the refugee flagship is trying to contact us again. Their signal is almost gone." "Put it through," Hale said. A faint image appeared, a thin alien, breathing heavily, eyes full of exhaustion. He tried to speak, but his voice cracked. We have no world left. No home. Only children, families, and memories. Please, let us stay near your moon. We will not take much. Only safety." The screen flickered and died. No threats. No demands. Only fear and hope. Hale finally spoke the words that would change everything. "Open Earth's defense shield. Bring them in." Gasps filled the room. Some officers stood, stunned. Others whispered urgently to each other. But the order was given. It could not be taken back. Across the planet, the golden barrier around Earth flickered and lowered for the first time in years. It was a historic moment, broadcast live. People around the world stared in disbelief. Some cheered. Some cried. Some argued. But nobody could look away. The refugee ships slowly moved forward, guided by human rescue pilots. Medical teams prepared on orbital stations. Engineers rushed to docking bays. Soldiers secured safe zones, not to keep refugees trapped, but to keep them safe from panic and uncertainty. When the first alien stepped onto a human platform, no one knew what would happen. But the alien simply fell to his knees, weak, trembling, whispering something in his own language. A medic knelt beside him, offering water. The alien looked at the cup with confusion, then with hope. He drank slowly, as if he had forgotten what safety felt like. The galaxy watched through thousands of hidden channels. Every allied and enemy species waited to see if humans had just made the biggest mistake in history. Inside the safe zone, groups of aliens entered slowly, some limping, some carried on stretchers. Human doctors checked their wounds. Human children peeked from behind railings, curious rather than fearful. The aliens were shocked by this kindness. They had expected guns, cages, cold orders. Instead, they found warmth. But Hale felt no relief. Not yet. The hunter fleet had stopped near Mars. They did not move. They did not send messages. They waited, as if studying Earth's choice. That silence was more threatening than any weapon. An officer whispered, "Sir, what if they attack? What if they punish us for helping the refugees?" Hale looked at the screen. The hunters formed a perfect line, too perfect, like knives waiting to strike. "Then we fight," he said quietly. "Because running from danger is not who we are." But deep inside, he wondered if they were ready. Humanity had fought wars, but never against a force that destroyed entire planets. As night fell across Earth, something else happened. Refugee children began drawing pictures on the floor, shapes of their destroyed home, their families, and something darker. A creature, huge and terrifying, with long arms like shadows and a mouth wide enough to swallow a mountain. Human doctors watched the drawings, confused. Then an old alien, weak but awake, looked at Hale with fearful eyes. "It is coming," he whispered. "The Devourer. It follows us. It never stops. It eats everything. It will eat your world too." Hale froze. This was not just a war. This was a nightmare chasing them across the galaxy. And by choosing to protect them, humanity had stepped into that nightmare. A new alert rang through the station. Sensors detected faint energy pulses far beyond Mars. Something enormous was moving in the darkness, slow, heavy, unstoppable. The hunter fleet started shifting positions. They were not an army. They were not chasing the refugees. They were running from the same monster. And now, that monster was heading straight for Earth. Hale stared at the screen. "What have we brought upon ourselves?" he whispered. But deep down, he knew the truth. Humanity did not regret saving lives. Even if the price was the greatest battle the galaxy had ever seen. The refugee camps grew quiet as night settled across the orbital stations. Human guards watched carefully, unsure if danger was coming from outside, or from the refugees themselves. But the aliens did not fight, did not shout, did not try to escape. They simply rested, exhausted, like people who had been running for far too long. Commander Hale walked through the main medical bay. Hundreds of aliens lay on beds, breathing weakly. Doctors whispered to each other as scanners beeped and flickered. Something strange was happening during the medical checks. Burn marks. Not on the skin. Not from weapons. But deep inside the body, as if something had burned them from the inside out. A doctor approached Hale with worry in her eyes. "Sir, these marks are not normal injuries. They look like energy wounds. Something powerful hit them. Not once. Many times." Hale frowned. "Weapons testing. Torture." The doctor shook her head. "No. Their bodies show the same pattern. As if something attacked them all at the same time." Before Hale could answer, a loud cry came from the far corner. An alien woke from a nightmare, shaking violently. He whispered in his own language, terrified, pointing to the window as if expecting a monster to appear there. A translator device repeated his words in a soft robotic voice. "It is coming. It sees us. It always sees us." Every human in the room froze. Hale approached the alien slowly. "Who is coming?" he asked. "Who destroyed your home?" The alien stared at him with empty, haunted eyes. "The Devourer," he whispered. "A creature that does not live, does not think, does not stop. It is hunger. It is darkness. It destroys worlds and grows stronger." A chill ran down Hale's spine. A creature large enough to destroy planets. The alien continued, voice shaking. The Devourer sent soldiers to break our spirit. The hunter ships, they are not warriors. They are the last ones who survived the first attack. They followed us because they fear being alone. They fear being eaten next. This changed everything. Earth had not welcomed refugees from a war. Earth had welcomed refugees from extinction. Before Hale could respond, an alarm echoed across Space Command. Officers rushed to screens, eyes wide with fear. "Commander," one of them shouted. "New energy signatures detected near the edge of the system." Hale ran to the control room. The main display showed it instantly. A massive red distortion appeared far beyond Pluto. Space bent and twisted like a ripple in a black ocean. Then the ripple grew bigger. And bigger. And bigger. "Is that a ship?" someone whispered. "No," an officer answered softly. "It's something else." The distortion pulsed again. In that moment, every light in Space Command flickered. The refugee aliens across the stations suddenly froze, staring at the ceiling as if they felt something humans could not sense. One young alien child started crying. "It found us," he whispered. "It followed our fear. It feeds on fear." And then the hunter fleet moved. They broke their formation and began slowly backing away, creating distance not from Earth, but from the distortion. Their engines glowed brighter. Their shields powered up. It was clear they were preparing to run again. Hale watched the screen closely. "Open a channel to the hunters," he ordered. No response. "Try again. Tell them we are willing to talk." Still nothing. Finally, a single message appeared on screen. Not a voice. Not a face. Just text. "Run." The word burned into the display like a warning carved into stone. Hale clenched his fists. "We're not running," he said quietly. The hunter ships turned away and fled toward deep space. They left the refugees behind. They left Earth behind. They left humanity to face whatever was coming. As the distortion grew stronger, Hale felt something cold inside him, a fear he tried to hide. He understood now why the refugees looked so broken. Why they had given up hope. Why the hunters fled. This enemy was different from anything humans had fought before. Dr. Alara rushed to Hale's side. "Commander, the energy readings," she swallowed hard. "They match the internal burn marks on the refugees. The creature can attack from a distance. Through space itself." Hale stared at the screen. "How do you fight something like that?" Alara shook her head slowly. "I don't know. But if it gets closer, we will find out." Far below them, Earth slept peacefully, unaware that something older than war, older than fear, older than life itself, was slowly entering the solar system. The Devourer was coming. And humanity had chosen to stand in its path. But something else happened that no one expected. As the distortion approached, the refugees gathered together, whispering ancient words. Words of warning. Words of sorrow. Words of hope. Something in their voices changed the air around them. As if they carried knowledge humans had never seen. One alien elder looked at a nearby camera and spoke clearly for the first time. "If you fight it, we will fight beside you. Because you chose us when no one else did." For the first time since arriving, they did not look like victims. They looked like survivors ready to stand with humanity. Hale felt a small spark inside his chest, courage. Not enough to defeat a monster. But enough to face it. The solar system felt different now. Every satellite, every listening station, every human ship sensed the same thing, an invisible weight pressing down on space itself. As the distortion moved closer, even the stars seemed to dim. It was as if the universe was warning humanity to look away. But humanity did not look away. Commander Hale stood at the main window of Orbital Station Atlas. Below him, refugee camps glowed softly under protective lights. Engineers worked through the night, building new shields around the alien shelters. Soldiers stood guard, not to restrain the refugees, but to protect them. No other species in the galaxy would have done this. The refugees felt it too. For the first time since their escape, they were not running. They were breathing. Healing. Watching children play in safe corners. Some even tried Earth food for the first time, confused but curious. But the fear was still inside them, buried deep. The Devourer had stolen their home, their families, their nights of sleep. And now it was coming for Earth. Inside the research lab, human scientists studied fragments of alien tech. The refugees had brought little with them, but the little they had was priceless, recordings of the destruction of their world. Images showed a dark shadow falling from the sky, touching the surface, and turning cities into dust. The scientists replayed the footage again and again, trying to find weaknesses. Something. Anything. Dr. Alara leaned back in her chair, rubbing her eyes. This creature, it doesn't behave like a normal enemy. It doesn't conquer. It consumes. Anything alive. Anything strong. Anything weak. It doesn't care. Hale crossed his arms. Everything that lives has a weakness. Alara stared at him. And what if its weakness is nothing humans understand? Before Hale could respond, a door opened and an alien elder entered slowly. He was thin, but his voice was stronger than before. You search for weakness, he said gently. We searched too. Our brightest minds searched. Our warriors searched. But we failed. The Devourer cannot be fought like an army. It must be stopped like a storm. Hale stepped closer. Then tell us how. The elder hesitated. It follows fear. It follows destruction. Where life is hopeless, it grows stronger. When we resisted, it fed on our fear. When we ran, it followed our fear. When we tried to hide, it felt our fear. So fear is fuel. Alara whispered. Yes, the elder said. But also a chain. And chains can be broken. Hale exchanged a look with his scientist. Are you saying the creature is psychological? Not exactly, the elder replied. Fear creates energy. The Devourer eats that energy. That is its path. Hale understood something then, something unexpected. Humans were afraid. Terrified. But humans were also something else. Something the galaxy underestimated. Humans were stubborn. In the face of fear, they fought harder. They grew braver. They laughed. They loved. They hoped. Humans had survived their own dark history, not by being fearless, but by standing strong while afraid. Maybe that was the key. Maybe humanity's greatest weakness was also its greatest weapon. As Hale considered this, a loud alarm echoed through the station. Officers rushed to their stations. Commander, one shouted. The Devourer has entered Neptune's orbit. Everyone turned toward the main screen. The distortion grew, filling half the display. It looked like a giant tear in space, pulsing like a heartbeat. Strange whispers echoed through the speakers, static, but almost like hungry breathing. Then something unbelievable happened. The refugee children stopped playing at the same moment. One by one, they looked toward the ceiling, eyes wide, as if they felt the creature calling to them. The Devourer was reaching out. Hale felt a wave of cold fear wash across the station. The lights flickered again. A few officers gasped as the temperature dropped. It's feeding, Alara whispered. From far away. No, Hale said quickly. We're not letting it. He activated the command channel. All units, prepare Earth's fleet. Activate the Sun Shield Array. Get civilians into shelters. This is not a drill. The refugees watched in shock as humans moved with speed and determination. Soldiers mobilized. Ships launched. Orbital defenses powered up. Humanity was preparing to fight for people it had known for less than a day. To the aliens, it was unbelievable. To humans, it was normal. One refugee mother stared out a window, holding her child close. "Why do you help us?" she whispered. A human nurse answered softly, "Because someone would help us too, if we ever needed it." The mother lowered her head, tears in her eyes. Humanity's kindness was something she had never seen before in any species. As the sunshield array powered up, a giant ring of satellites forming a glowing barrier, energy crackled through space. The Devourer reacted instantly. The distortion pulsed harder, like it was growing angry. Hale watched nervously. "Is it working?" Ilara studied the readings. "We're slowing it down. Not stopping it. But slowing it." For the first time, the Devourer hesitated. The small victory spread through the station like electricity. Humans cheered. Refugees stared in disbelief. But then, the distortion twisted sharply. A deeper, darker wave of energy shot toward Earth. And the lights went out. Every screen turned black. Every ship froze. Every person felt a sudden emptiness, like their hope had been punched out of their chest. Ilara whispered the only word she could find. "It's angry now." Hale stood in the darkness, breathing slowly. "Good," he said. "Let it come. We're not done." Because humanity wasn't backing away. Humanity was gearing up for war. Darkness filled the entire station. Not normal darkness, this one felt heavy, alive, as if something huge was breathing in the shadows. Officers tried to restart their systems, but nothing responded. The Devourer had reached out with its power, crushing every signal like dust. Commander Hale felt his heart racing, but he refused to let fear take over. He moved through the dark room, checking on his team. "Stay calm," he said. "Emergency power will return." It did, but not in the way anyone expected. A soft glow began to rise from the refugee sector. A strange blue light pulsed from the aliens themselves, spreading across the floor like ripples in water. Hale stared, stunned. "What is that?" The alien elder stepped forward. His hands glowed brighter than the others. "Hope," he said softly. "You gave it to us. Now we return it to you." As the alien light grew stronger, the station screens flickered back on. Human systems restarted, not through technology, but through the energy the refugees shared. "Commander," an officer shouted. "The fleet is responding again. The sunshield array is powering up." The refugees were not human, but in that moment, they felt like family. The Devourer reacted instantly. Space twisted again outside the windows, and a massive black shape began pushing through the distortion. Not fully visible, but large enough that its shadow covered 3 planets at once. Even the Hunter fleet, which had run far across the system, sent a final message. "Do not fight it. Flee. Or you will be consumed." But Earth did not move. Hale stood straight, eyes locked on the creature's shadow. "We're not abandoning anyone," he said. "Not them. Not ourselves." The galaxy watched in disbelief. Billions of beings tuned into hidden channels, amazed at the sight of a young species preparing to defend refugees against a force older than stars. Humanity was standing alone. But it was not afraid. It was ready. The Devourer's voice echoed through every speaker, deep, cold, more like a vibration than sound. "Give them to me. They belong to the dark." Hale answered without hesitation. "They belong to no one." The creature pushed forward. Energy waves hit Earth's defenses. Space cracked around the sunshield array. Some satellites exploded instantly. Shields flickered. Engines overheated. Human ships rocked violently in orbit. Still, they held the line. The alien refugees watched with tears in their eyes. "Why do they fight so hard?" one child asked quietly. The elder answered, "Because humans have something the Devourer cannot eat." "What is that?" the child whispered. "Courage." Outside, the Devourer unleashed a final, massive blast of energy. The darkness spread like a storm, reaching Earth's orbit, swallowing debris, crushing old satellites. Human ships trembled under the force. One pilot shouted through comms, "Commander, we can't hold this much longer." Hale clenched his fists. "Then push harder. Don't give it fear. Give it fire." Human fighters launched a counterattack, firing plasma beams directly into the dark wave. It didn't hurt the Devourer, but it slowed it enough for the sun shield to recover. Elara ran to Hale with new data. "Commander. Look. When humans fight without fear, its energy weakens. Just like the elder said." Hale's eyes widened. "So we push forward. Even if it kills us?" she asked. He nodded. "If that's the price for saving 40,000 lives, yes." He opened the channel to every human ship. "Listen to me. The Devourer feeds on fear. Give it nothing. Remember who you are. Remember why we fight. Not for land. Not for power. For people who needed us." Then he said the words that would be remembered across galaxies. "Hold the line. Humanity never runs." Something changed in that moment. Something the galaxy had never seen. Human courage became a weapon. The sun shield glowed brighter, fueled by both human determination and the refugees' hope. It pushed forward, harder than ever before. The Devourer screamed, a hollow, distant roar. For the first time in centuries, it felt something strange. Resistance. The creature began pulling back, struggling to hold its position. The distortion flickered. The darkness thinned. "It's retreating." Elara shouted. "We're forcing it back." The refugees started glowing again, giving more energy. Blue light filled the camp, spreading across the ships, merging with the sunshield's golden glow. Together, human and alien, they pushed the Devourer back into the void. The shadow twisted violently, shrinking, collapsing inward like a dying storm. One final pulse shot through space, shaking every ship. Then the distortion snapped shut. The Devourer was gone. Silence filled the galaxy. Earth had done the impossible. Humanity had stood alone against a creature that destroyed worlds, and survived. No one expected that. No one believed humans could do it. But they did. Not with stronger weapons. Not with bigger ships. Not with superior technology. Humans won because they refused to abandon hope. And because they protected those who had nothing left. The refugees bowed before Hale. "You saved us," the elder whispered. "Our world is gone. But today, you gave us a new one." Hale shook his head. "We didn't save you. We saved each other." Across galaxies, species repeated one phrase in shock. The humans did the impossible. And from that day forward, humanity was no longer seen as a young, small species. They were seen as something far greater. A force that stands for life. A light in the dark. A species the galaxy would never forget.